Let's talk about a giant of literature, Honoré de Balzac. Born in 1799, Balzac was a French novelist and playwright. He's super important because he helped start realism in European writing. His most famous work is a huge collection of novels and stories called the Human Comédie. It's like a giant picture of French life in the early 1800s. Balzac was really good at watching people and noticing little details. This helped him write really realistic stories about the people and places around him. His stories are often about love, money, being ambitious, and trying to become rich and important. Balzac's writing wasn't always popular. Some people thought his books were too long and had too many details. Others didn't like how honestly he wrote about the bad parts of society. But even with those complaints, everyone agreed he was a genius. His writing changed French and world literature forever. People still read and love his books because he understood people so well. The Human Comédie is Balzac's biggest and most important work. It's a huge collection of novels and stories, all connected with over 2,000 characters. It covers many years and different families. Balzac wanted to show everything about French society after the French Revolution. The title, The Human Comédie, is similar to a famous book called The Divine Comedy. This tells us that Balzac saw himself as someone recording all the silly mistakes, bad choices, and good deeds of people. His stories are full of all kinds of people: rich folks, middle-class people, criminals, politicians, artists, and more. Each story in The Human Comédie shows us a different part of French life. Balzac wrote about people trying to become richer, the bad influence of money, and how complicated relationships can be. He was really interested in how where you live and the people around you change who you are. The Human Comédie was a totally new kind of writing. It was different from the romantic stories that were popular in France at the time. Balzac's realistic style made it easier for later writers like Émile Zola and Gustave Flaubert to write in the same way. One of the best things about Balzac is how good he was at creating interesting characters. His characters aren't just good guys or bad guys. They have good and bad parts, and they feel like real people, even though they're just in a book. One of his most famous characters is Père Goriot, from the book with the same name. Père Goriot is an old man who makes noodles, and he gives everything to his two daughters, even though they are mean to him. He loves them so much, even when they take all his money and don't love him back. Another famous character is Eugénie Grandet. Eugénie gets a lot of money from her dad, who is very stingy. Even though she's rich, she's lonely and sad because her dad's greed messed up her ideas about love and happiness. These are just two of the many interesting people in Balzac's stories. Through his characters, Balzac shows us all the different parts of being human, from the happiest moments to the saddest. Balzac's writing style is as unique as his characters. He's known for long descriptions, complicated sentences, and going off on different topics. Some people find his style hard to read, but it's powerful and original. Balzac wanted you to feel like you were inside his stories. He described everything, what places looked like, how people acted, and what his characters were thinking. He chose his words carefully, and his writing is often beautiful, even when he's talking about everyday things. Balzac was all about realism. He didn't make life seem better than it was. He wrote honestly about the poor people, the crime, and the unfairness in French society, even though there was also a lot of wealth and fancy things. Balzac's writing changed how novels were written. His realism, his understanding of people's minds, and his big picture of society inspired many other writers. Sadly, Balzac died young, at only 51 years old, tired from writing so much and living a life full of coffee and debt. But he left behind amazing stories that people still love. People all over the world still read Balzac in schools and colleges. They love his books because he understood people so well, because he wrote about important social issues, and because he was a great storyteller. His detailed descriptions of French life in the 1800s are still interesting and teach us things today. You can see Balzac's influence in lots of writers who came after him, like Émile Zola and Marcel Proust in France, and Charles Dickens and George Eliot in England. Balzac's realism and focus on social issues changed literature forever. Balzac wasn't just a writer, he was a visionary. He knew that literature could show us what society is really like, both the good and the bad. He believed in telling stories, in showing what it means to be human with all its complications, and that's something to remember and appreciate.